In other news, of course, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance is on the ground probing the state of Limpopo municipalities that invested in VBS Bank. The province had the highest number of municipalities that invested in the bank, which was looted of almost 2 billion rand. 11 Limpopo municipalities lost 1.2 billion rand that they'd deposited with VBS. Now, last year, the GREAT Bank Heist report compiled by advocate Terry Motau and law firm Werksmans found that VBS had been cleaned out by its directors as well as politicians. Now, Bheki Hadebe from Parliament's COGTA committee joins us and now on the line on this fact-finding mission in Limpopo. Very good evening to you, Mr. Hadebe. Thank you very much for your time. So the Portfolio Committee, of course, began its visit to Limpopo last Friday. What have you found?
Good evening and evening to your viewers. Indeed, we've been on the ground for 2 weeks now. The finding thus far is that indeed service delivery has been severely compromised. To give you an example, in one of the municipalities, 80 million that was meant for electrification of the villages in Fitahomo, that project has been suspended because of the money invested in VBS. Road construction project in that municipality had to be scaled down, as well as boreholes that were meant to supply water within those villages also were affected as a result of the investment in VBS. Key senior management position in the municipality had to be frozen as a result of investment in VBS. Now, that's one of the municipalities out of the 12 municipalities that invested money on VBS. And the investment was around 2.6 billion. 1.2 of that amount has been lost, money down the drain, which was meant for service delivery.
That was my next question, Mr. Hadebe. What did you find in terms of the extent of how service delivery was compromised as a result of this investment in VBS Bank? But of concern, it seems, I think one of the things that you've picked up is that these municipalities have also paid out municipal managers and chief financial officers who were central to investing in VBS. I mean, if we look at this and the issue of lack of consequence management, it sounds like an absolute disaster.
Yes, that is one of our greatest concerns, that out of these 11 municipalities that have invested in VBS, 6 of the chief financial officers have subsequently resigned. And in one of the municipalities, Vembe District Municipality, the CFO and the municipal manager was given a golden handshake on top of the pension that was paid in full. Now, ours was to ask this municipality, how did it happen that after you have invested time and taxpayers' money in institution disciplinary processes, when you are in the tail end of the disciplinary processes, these officials resign, and you saw it fit to pay them their pension and give them the golden handshake. To us, that appeared to be a malicious compliance in terms of them instituting disciplinary proceedings, when at the end you're going to pay them their pension fund in full. That was one of the area of concern, and we're not happy as a portfolio committee with that exercise.
You're not happy with it as the Portfolio Committee, but I mean, what happens in an instance like this where there's an absolute disregard for consequence management? Surely as Parliament, you can't just say you're going there on a fact-finding mission, you gather all the evidence that you have, and then nothing happens. What happens next? Because clearly, even after the exposure of this great bank heist, you go on this fact-finding mission, and even after all of this has been found, you still have instances where there's a complete disregard for proper process.
No, I agree with you. Ours is to change the narrative, and we're going to compile a detailed report, submit it to Parliament. But key amongst our report is to demand that all outstanding disciplinary cases should be resolved expeditiously, and that those that are found guilty, possible criminal charges ought to be preferred against those. People must be sent to jail for fraudulently taking taxpayers' money. Secondly, we want them to determine how much money can be recovered and pursue civil claims against those that are found to be guilty.
But even till this... go ahead, Mr. Hadebe, apologies.
Yes, I'm saying SIU has already started investigating some of these municipalities. So over and above our report to Parliament, the SIU has already started the process of investigating. So we'll require feedback on a quarterly basis to ensure that we expedite the process. Cannot be business as usual. One of the areas of concern as well is that these officials who resign, they find themselves in other municipalities. That's another recommendation that we'll put forward to Parliament, that it can't be business as usual. We ought to be seen as senior politicians and senior officials that we are not tolerating non-compliance. We cannot reward people who have defrauded the state.
It really is shocking if you're telling me that some of the individuals who've resigned from these municipalities have now left to go on to other municipalities. And I mean, this, I guess, speaks to an issue where even until now, while indeed you say, yes, you'll call for these cases to be expedited, somebody has to be held to account, but to date, not a single individual has truly been held to account for what has happened. And I'm sure during the course of your fact-finding mission there, you came face to face with those at the bottom level of all of this who were the victims in this instance.
And unfortunately, in all these municipalities that we have visited, the culprits, one way or the other, submitted apologies. Others giving us excuses that they're writing exam, others they were off sick. So in all these municipalities, unfortunately, we have not been able to interact face to face with those that have been alleged to be involved in these shenanigans. But most of them are on suspension, if not expelled or resigned. So those who are still within the system, unfortunately, we could not interact one-on-one with them, because we would have loved to deal with them directly and ask some of the questions to them.
Yes, certainly, because most of them indeed lost their pensions. Quite a lot of money, of course, in investing in VBS Bank. I'm sure you'll get another opportunity to speak to some of those at a grassroots level. Bheki Hadebe from Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, spending the past 2 weeks in Limpopo, of course, looking at some of those, or probing some of those municipalities in that province that had invested in VBS Bank.